Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's dive into today's story. Have you ever had a moment where you thought you knew someone, only to realize you were completely wrong? Well, that's exactly what happened when Emma, a waitress, sat down at what she thought was her blind date. It was supposed to be Kevin, but the man sitting across from her was not Kevin. He was Liam Parker, a tech millionaire. The confusion was just the beginning, and what followed would change Emma's life forever. Emma, a struggling waitress, had never been to a fancy restaurant like this before. She had promised her best friend, Jenny, that she would go through with this blind date, even though everything about the place made her feel out of place. Her dress was secondhand, her shoes were scuffed, and her hands were shaking from nerves. She walked into the restaurant, scanning the tables, her heart pounding in her chest. She finally spotted him, a sharply dressed man sitting alone near the back. He was engrossed in his phone, looking every bit the part of a successful businessman. This had to be him. She took a deep breath and walked over to him, forcing a bright smile. "Hi, you must be Kevin. I'm Emma. Nice to meet you," she said, sitting down across from him. Liam Parker blinked, looking up in surprise. He was momentarily at a loss for words. Hi Emma," he said, his voice soft. He had been expecting to meet someone entirely different, but something about Emma's nervous yet genuine demeanor made him hesitate. He decided to play along. "Right, blind dates are something else," he said, offering a small smile. Emma laughed nervously, taking a sip of water. "Tell me about it. Jenny's been trying to set me up for months, but I've been too busy with work," she said, trying to fill the awkward silence. Liam raised an eyebrow. "What do you do?" "I'm a waitress," Emma admitted, fidgeting with the edge of her napkin. "It's not glamorous, but it pays the bills." "Well, most of them anyway," she added with a sheepish smile. "And you?" "Tech," Liam said, his answer vague, not wanting to reveal too much just yet. "Oh, like coding and apps?" Emma asked, her tone brightening. "Something like that," Liam replied with a small smile, clearly enjoying the conversation. Emma continued to talk about her struggles, her dream of one day opening her own art studio, and her difficulties making ends meet. She was so easy to talk to, and Liam found himself laughing more than he had in months. He hadn't expected this conversation to go so smoothly, but there was something refreshing about her honesty. He was about to ask her more about her life when his phone buzzed. He glanced at the message. His meeting had been canceled. Just then, Emma's phone buzzed as well. "Hey, Emma, where are you?" "I'm at table 7, the message read. Emma's face turned red as she read the message, and she looked up at Liam, embarrassed. "You're not Kevin, are you?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. Liam's smile faltered. He had intended to correct her from the start, but had let the conversation flow. He hesitated, his guilt flickering for a moment. "No, I'm not," he confessed, his voice soft. Emma's stomach churned with embarrassment. "Oh my God," she muttered, standing up abruptly. "I'm so sorry, I sat at the wrong table." She grabbed her coat and started to leave, her face burning with shame. Liam watched her go, a strange mix of regret and curiosity swirling in his chest. He had meant to tell her the truth, but something about her had made him pause. He was now wondering if he would ever see her again. But more than that, he found himself wondering why the thought of never seeing her again bothered him so much. Emma hurried out of the restaurant, feeling like a complete idiot. She didn't want to face anyone after such an awkward encounter. She rushed back to her small apartment, telling herself it wasn't a big deal. But deep down, she couldn't shake the memory of Liam's warm smile and the way he made her feel at ease. Meanwhile, Liam sat in his penthouse, staring out at the New York City skyline, lost in thought. The events of the evening replayed in his mind. He had never met anyone quite like Emma before. She wasn't interested in his wealth or status. She didn't know who he was, and that made their conversation feel normal. For the first time in a long time, he felt like he could be himself. It was a strange feeling, and he couldn't quite let it go. As the night wore on, Liam found himself thinking more and more about Emma. She was different. There was something about her that drew him in, and he couldn't stop wondering if he'd ever see her again. I hope you enjoyed the first part of today's story. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our exciting stories. Your support helps us keep bringing you more captivating tales. And by the way, where are you tuning in from? Let us know your city or country in the comments below. Now, let's dive into the next chapter of our story. Have you ever thought about the kind of person you want to be with, only to find someone completely unexpected? Well, this is where things take an interesting turn for Emma. Let's continue from where we left off. After their awkward meeting, Emma rushed out of the restaurant, feeling embarrassed and like she'd just made the biggest mistake of her life. She thought she'd never see Liam again, but something about him lingered in her mind. She couldn't shake the way he'd looked at her, the way he had listened when she spoke about her dreams, no matter how small they seemed. She tried to brush it off, reminding herself that it was just another blind date gone wrong, but deep down, she felt a strange connection to him. Back in her small apartment, she plopped down on her couch and let out a long sigh. Her roommate, Jenny, peeked her head out from the kitchen, noticing the defeated look on Emma's face. "Rough date?" she asked, knowing full well that Emma had been hopeful about this one. Emma groaned and slouched further into the cushions. "You could say that. I thought I was meeting Kevin, but I ended up sitting with some random guy who, turns out, isn't Kevin at all." She shook her head. "This is embarrassing. I don't even want to think about it." Jenny chuckled. "So what's the big deal? Maybe it was fate. Maybe that random guy was meant to be there." Emma raised an eyebrow, skeptical. "Right, fate. He was just some stranger. I doubt I'll ever see him again." But despite her words, something told her she was wrong. The next day, as Emma was finishing up her shift at the diner, her phone buzzed. She glanced at it and saw a text message from an unfamiliar number. She hesitated for a moment before opening it. "Hi, Emma. This is Liam from the other night. I know it was a mix-up, but I'd like to see you again. Maybe coffee sometime." Emma blinked in surprise. Her heart skipped a beat. Liam? The man from the restaurant? She had thought he was just some stranger, but now he was reaching out to her. She showed the message to Jenny, who gave her a teasing grin. Well, looks like he's not as easy to forget as you thought." Emma bit her lip, her nerves getting the better of her. "I don't know. What if he's just being polite? Maybe I should just forget about it." Jenny shook her head. "No way. If he wants to meet again, go for it. What's the worst that could happen? It's just coffee." After a moment of hesitation, Emma typed a reply. "Okay, coffee sounds nice." The next day, they met at a cozy cafe away from the bustling city streets. Emma was a little nervous, unsure of what to expect. When she walked in, she immediately spotted Liam at a corner table, dressed casually in jeans and a gray sweater. He looked much more approachable this time, far from the polished businessman she had assumed he was. Emma walked over and smiled, feeling a little less awkward than before. "Hi," she said, sliding into the seat across from him. "Hi, Emma. Thanks for agreeing to meet up," Liam replied with a smile. They exchanged small talk at first, talking about their day and how they had been since their awkward meeting. Liam asked her about her work as a waitress, and Emma shared a little about her dream of opening an art studio one day. As the conversation continued, Emma felt more at ease. There was something about Liam that made her feel comfortable. He wasn't like the other men she'd met. There was no pressure, no expectations, just two people getting to know each other. "So what's the deal with you?" Emma asked, feeling a bit bold. "What do you really do? You said you work in tech, but you never really said much about it." Liam smiled, as if he had been expecting the question. "I work for a tech startup," he said vaguely. "But that's not important right now." Emma raised an eyebrow. "Okay, but that's a bit mysterious, don't you think?" Liam chuckled. "Maybe, but I'm not here to talk about work. I just wanted to meet you." Emma's heart fluttered. "Well, I'm glad you did," she said with a shy smile. For the first time in a long while, she felt like she could let her guard down. As they continued their conversation, Emma found herself laughing and enjoying the moment. She hadn't realized how much she needed this kind of connection with someone. It was as if Liam was the first person in a long time who wasn't judging her for what she did or didn't have. After their coffee, they walked together through the park nearby. Emma showed him her favorite spot by the pond where she liked to sketch. She pulled out her sketchbook and showed him some of her drawings. Liam seemed genuinely interested, asking her questions about her art and her dreams. "You're really talented," he said, looking at her sketches with admiration. Emma smiled, feeling a warmth spread through her. "Thanks. It's just a hobby for now, but I hope one day it'll be more. Liam paused for a moment, studying her. I think you can do it. You just need to believe in yourself. Emma's heart skipped again. I'm not sure I believe in myself that much, she admitted. Liam gave her a reassuring smile. You should. You have a lot to offer. Emma felt a rush of gratitude. She had never been so open with anyone before, but there was something about Liam that made her feel like she could be herself. After their walk, they said their goodbyes. As Emma walked back to her apartment, she couldn't stop smiling. Maybe this wasn't just some random encounter. Maybe Liam was exactly who she needed to meet to finally start believing in herself. It's been a few days since Emma and Liam met at the cafe, and Emma couldn't stop thinking about him. She'd never felt so comfortable around someone she barely knew. Every time she thought about their conversation, a smile would creep onto her face. She hadn't expected to feel this way, but somehow, Liam had made her feel seen in a way no one else had. She thought about their walk through the park, his encouraging words about her art, and how he seemed genuinely interested in her dreams. As much as Emma tried to convince herself it was nothing more than a coffee date, she couldn't help but wonder if there was something more. Meanwhile, Liam was feeling the same way. He couldn't stop thinking about Emma either. There was something about her honesty and vulnerability that drew him in. She wasn't like the women he usually met. She didn't care about his money or status. All she seemed to care about was the conversation they were having, and that was something Liam hadn't experienced in a long time. He found himself thinking about her more than he'd like to admit, and every time he caught himself doing it, he tried to push the thought away. He had his reasons for staying emotionally distant, but Emma had a way of breaking through those walls. After a few days, Liam couldn't stand it anymore. He had to see her again. He didn't know why, but he felt like there was something there, something real. He sent her a text, asking if she wanted to meet up again. When Emma received the message, her heart skipped a beat. She had been wondering if he'd reach out, but at the same time, she was nervous. What if he didn't feel the same way? What if she was just another girl he was trying to impress? But she pushed those thoughts aside and replied, "Sure, I'd love to meet up again." They agreed to meet at a small art gallery later that week. Emma was nervous, but she was also excited. She had been working on some new sketches, and she wanted to share them with Liam. She knew it wasn't much, but it felt like a step forward. When they met at the gallery, Liam was already there, waiting for her. He looked as handsome as ever, wearing a simple jacket and jeans, but there was something different about him this time. He was more relaxed, more open. As soon as Emma arrived, he smiled and waved her over. "Hey, I'm glad you could make it," he said, his voice warm. Emma smiled back, feeling the familiar flutter in her chest. "Of course, I wouldn't miss it." They walked through the gallery together, admiring the paintings and talking about their favorite pieces. Emma felt at ease, as if this was just another casual outing between two friends. But deep down, she couldn't shake the feeling that there was something more, something unspoken between them. As they moved to the back of the gallery, Emma pulled out her sketchbook. "I've been working on some new stuff," she said, flipping through the pages. Liam leaned in to take a look, his eyes lighting up as he saw her drawings. "These are amazing, Emma. You have real talent," he said, genuinely impressed. Emma's cheeks flushed with pride. "Thank you. I've been dreaming of opening my own studio one day, but I don't know if it's possible." Liam looked at her, his expression softening. "You know, I think you can do it," he said. "You just have to believe in yourself." His words made her heart swell. It was the kind of encouragement she had always wanted, but never thought she'd get. As they continued to walk through the gallery, Emma felt herself becoming more and more drawn to him. There was something about the way he listened to her, the way he cared about her dreams, that made her feel like she mattered. It wasn't just about the art, it was about her as a person. After a while, they sat down on a bench in the corner of the gallery, talking about their pasts, their families, and their hopes for the future. It felt natural, like they had known each other for years. Liam opened up to Emma in a way he hadn't done with anyone else. He told her about his struggles growing up and how he had built his company from the ground up. Emma listened intently, her heart going out to him. She had always admired people who could overcome obstacles and achieve their dreams, and Liam was no exception. As the evening came to an end, they exchanged goodbyes, but this time, Emma didn't feel the need to run away. She knew she would see him again. Liam, too, felt a sense of relief as he watched her leave. He realized that for the first time in a long time, He wasn't just interested in someone for their looks or their social status. He was interested in Emma for who she was, and that was something new for him. He couldn't wait to see where this connection would take them. The days that followed felt different for both Emma and Liam. For Emma, the uncertainty of her life had begun to fade, replaced by the excitement of possibilities she had never considered before. She was still working at the diner, but something had shifted inside her. Every time she thought about her future, she found herself wondering if maybe, just maybe, she could pursue her dreams of opening an art studio. Liam had given her a confidence she didn't even know she had. She kept thinking about the way he encouraged her, the way he believed in her, and how much she longed to believe in herself in the same way. For Liam, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was falling for Emma. It had only been a few days since their second meeting at the gallery, but every moment they spent together felt more meaningful than the last. He couldn't deny the attraction he felt for her, but there was something deeper than just physical attraction. It was the way she made him feel like a real person, not just a millionaire businessman. He had been surrounded by wealth and status for most of his life, but Emma saw him for who he truly was, not the image he had carefully crafted. Despite his growing feelings, Liam knew he couldn't rush things. He had made a vow to keep his identity hidden for now, and he didn't want to lose the connection they had by revealing the truth too soon. But the more time he spent with Emma, the harder it became to keep up the facade. It was on a rainy Thursday afternoon when Liam made up his mind. He couldn't keep pretending to be someone he wasn't, and he needed to be honest with her. He had to tell her the truth, not just about who he was, but about how he truly felt. He sent her a message asking if she wanted to meet again. Emma, of course, said yes. They agreed to meet at a small coffee shop near the park. As soon as Emma arrived, she could tell that something was different about Liam. He wasn't as casual as before, but there was a softness in his eyes that made her heart race. She sat down across from him, trying to hide her nerves. "Hey, you look different today," she said with a nervous laugh. Liam smiled, but there was a hint of seriousness in his expression. "I have something I need to tell you, Emma," he said, his voice steady. Emma's heart skipped a beat. "What is it?" she asked, suddenly feeling a little anxious. Liam hesitated, his gaze dropping to his coffee cup. "I'm not who you think I am," he said quietly. Emma's brow furrowed. "What do you mean? I didn't tell you the full truth when we met. I'm not just some guy in tech," he began, his voice steady but heavy with emotion. "I'm Liam Parker, CEO of Parker Enterprises. I've been hiding my identity because I didn't want you to see me as just a millionaire businessman. I wanted you to see me for who I really am." Emma sat there, stunned. She had no words. The man she had been spending time with, the man she had started to like, was not the man she thought he was. She tried to process the information, but her mind was racing. "You're a billionaire CEO?" she finally managed to ask, her voice barely above a whisper. Liam nodded, his eyes meeting hers. "I know this might be a lot to take in, but I didn't want to keep this from you any longer. I care about you, Emma, and I don't want you to think that I've been pretending to be someone I'm not just to win you over." Emma's mind was spinning. She had been drawn to him because of the connection they shared, not because of his wealth. She never cared about how much money he had, only about how he treated her and how he made her feel. But now, with the truth out in the open, she wasn't sure what to feel. Was everything they shared just because of who he was, not who they were together? Liam could see the confusion in her eyes, and it broke his heart. He reached across the table, gently taking her hand in his. "Emma, I've been honest with you in every way that matters. I've enjoyed every moment we've spent together, and I want to keep getting to know you. I'm not asking you to forget who I am, but I don't want you to judge me based on my wealth. Please." Emma took a deep breath, trying to calm herself. She looked at Liam, really looked at him, and saw the sincerity in his eyes. For the first time, she realized that she had already known who he was. Not the millionaire, not the CEO, but the man who cared about her dreams, the man who believed in her when she couldn't believe in herself. She squeezed his hand, smiling softly. "I don't care about your money, Liam. I care about you. But I need time to figure this out. I don't want anything to change between us." Liam nodded, his heart swelling with relief. "Take all the time you need. I'm not going anywhere." As they sat there, holding hands, Emma realized something. Maybe it didn't matter who Liam was. Maybe it was about what they had together, about the connection they had built, and the love that was slowly growing between them. She didn't have all the answers, but she knew one thing for sure. She wanted to explore whatever this was. And so, with a deep breath and a quiet promise to herself, she smiled at Liam, knowing that their journey was only just beginning. It had been a week since Emma and Liam had that heart-to-heart conversation, and things felt different between them. Emma still needed some time to process everything, but she was starting to realize that the truth didn't change how she felt about Liam. Yes, he was a millionaire CEO, but he was also the same kind, thoughtful man she had been getting to know. She began to understand that his wealth wasn't the thing that had drawn her in. It was his honesty, his kindness, and the way he truly listened to her dreams. Every day that passed, Emma felt more certain that she wanted to explore what they had together. As for Liam, he was relieved that Emma had accepted him, despite the truth about his wealth. He had feared that she might look at him differently, that the connection they had built would be tainted by his success. But as he watched her laugh during their time together and saw how comfortable she was with him, he knew he had made the right decision by telling her the truth. He was falling for her more each day, and it wasn't just about her being kind-hearted or artistic. Emma had a warmth about her that he couldn't find in anyone else. The way she genuinely cared about people, the way she believed in her dreams, made him want to do whatever he could to help her achieve them. One evening, as they were sitting together in a small park near Emma's apartment, the conversation turned to their future. "So, have you thought more about what you want to do with your art?" Liam asked, looking at her with curiosity. Emma smiled softly, her eyes lighting up as she spoke. "I have, actually. I'm still not sure how it's going to happen, but I've been thinking about starting an art studio for local artists. A place where they can create and display their work without worrying about the financial part of it." Liam nodded, impressed by her vision. "I think that's a great idea, Emma. You've got the passion, and that's the most important part." Emma's smile widened. "Thanks, Liam. It means a lot to hear you say that." "I mean it," Liam said, his tone sincere. "If you ever need help getting it off the ground, just let me know." Emma paused, looking at him carefully. "You'd help me with something like that?" she asked, almost in disbelief. Liam's eyes softened. "Of course. I know what it's like to have a dream and not know how to make it happen. If there's anything I can do to help you, I will." Emma felt a rush of gratitude, her heart swelling with emotion. She had always dreamed of having her own studio, but she never thought it would be possible. And now, with Liam's offer of support, it felt like it could actually happen. "I don't even know what to say," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. Liam reached out, taking her hand gently in his. "You don't have to say anything, Emma. I want to help you." As they sat there, holding hands in the quiet park, Emma realized that this was the kind of relationship she had always wanted. One built on trust, honesty, and mutual support. And even though she wasn't sure what the future held, she knew one thing for certain. She was ready to take the next step with Liam. The following week, Emma started to take small steps toward her dream. She began researching what it would take to open an art studio, looking into local spaces, and finding out about grants and funding options for artists. Liam, as promised, helped in any way he could, offering advice and making introductions to people who could help her. But what really meant the most to Emma was how he believed in her, how he encouraged her every step of the way. Meanwhile, Liam found himself thinking about Emma more and more. He had always been focused on his work, always had his eyes on the next business deal or investment. But with Emma, he felt like he was truly living for the first time. Her passion for art, her caring nature, and her drive to help others had opened his eyes to what really mattered in life. One evening, as they were walking through the city, Liam turned to Emma, his heart pounding. "Emma," he said softly, "there's something I need to tell you." She looked up at him, her brow furrowed with curiosity. "What is it?" she asked. "I've been thinking about us," Liam said, his voice steady but full of emotion. "And I think I'm falling in love with you." Emma stopped walking, her heart racing. She looked at him, searching his face for any sign of doubt, but all she saw was sincerity. "Liam," she whispered, "I'm falling in love with you too." They stood there for a moment, the noise of the city fading away, as they both realized how far they had come in such a short time. Their relationship had started with a simple mistake, a mix-up at a restaurant, but it had grown into something far more meaningful. They had built a connection based on trust, mutual respect, and a deep, undeniable love for each other. As they stood together, Liam took Emma's hands in his heart swelling with emotion. "I'm so glad I met you," he said softly. "You've changed my life in ways I never expected." Emma smiled, her eyes filled with love. You've changed mine too. And just like that, they knew they were ready for whatever the future held, together. As the weeks passed, Emma and Liam's relationship grew stronger. They were no longer just two people meeting occasionally. They were building something real. Emma had started taking serious steps toward her dream of opening an art studio. And every time she faced a challenge, Liam was there, offering his support, advice, and sometimes just a listening ear. He was there during the late nights when Emma pored over grant applications, and he was there in the morning when she needed encouragement to keep going. With each passing day, Emma realized more and more how much Liam had become a part of her life. He wasn't just the millionaire CEO anymore. He was the man who believed in her when she had trouble believing in herself. He was the man who stood by her side, no matter what. One afternoon, as they walked through the park hand in hand, Emma stopped and turned to Liam, her expression thoughtful. Liam, I've been thinking a lot about the future. About what I really want, she began, her voice steady but filled with emotion. Liam looked at her, his heart skipping a beat. What is it? He asked, genuinely curious. Emma took a deep breath, her eyes meeting his. I want to make this happen. I want to open my studio, and I want to do it with you by my side. Liam smiled, his heart swelling with pride. You already have me by your side, Emma. You don't need to ask. But I'm glad you're ready to take the leap. Emma smiled back, feeling a rush of warmth. She had never felt so sure of anything in her life. She knew that with Liam's support, her dream could finally become a reality. That evening, Liam took Emma out for dinner at a small Italian restaurant they had visited on their second date. The familiar atmosphere felt comforting, and as they sat across from each other, enjoying their meal, Liam couldn't help but feel incredibly grateful for everything that had happened. He had never imagined that a simple mix-up at a restaurant would lead him to the woman he had come to love so deeply. But as he looked across the table at Emma, he knew that fate had played a bigger role in their lives than he had ever expected. Emma, Liam said softly, his voice full of affection, I've been thinking about us a lot lately. About how we started and how far we've come. Emma looked at him, her heart racing. She had a feeling she knew where this was going. What about us? She asked, her voice gentle. Liam smiled, his eyes softening as he reached for her hand. I think I'm ready for the next step. Not just with the studio, but with us. I want to spend the rest of my life with you, Emma. I want to build a future together, a real future. You make me want to be a better man, and I can't imagine my life without you in it. Emma's breath caught in her throat. She had never expected this moment to come so soon, but now that it was here, her heart swelled with emotion. She knew, without a doubt, that she wanted the same thing. Liam, I love you, she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. I want that too. I want to build a life with you, no matter what it takes. With a smile, Liam reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box. He opened it to reveal a simple, elegant ring. Will you marry me, Emma? He asked, his voice filled with tenderness. Emma's eyes filled with tears as she looked at him, overwhelmed by the love and commitment in his eyes. Yes, she whispered. Yes, 1,000 times yes. Liam slid the ring onto her finger, his heart soaring as he realized that their journey was just beginning. As they sat there, hand in hand, surrounded by the soft glow of the restaurant, they both knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. They had found something rare and beautiful, a love built on trust, respect, and unwavering support. The future was theirs to create, and with each other by their side, they knew they could make their dreams come true. As the evening came to a close, Liam and Emma walked out into the cool night air, their hearts full of hope for the future. The city around them buzzed with life, but in that moment, it was just the two of them, ready to face whatever came next. And as they walked down the street, hand in hand, Emma couldn't help but think about how far she had come, from the nervous waitress at the restaurant to the woman who was now ready to take on the world, with Liam by her side. The future was bright, and it was theirs for the taking. As the months went by, Liam and Emma's life together began to feel like a dream come true. They had successfully launched Emma's art studio, which had become a haven for local artists to come together, create, and showcase their work. With Liam's support and guidance, Emma had turned her vision into a reality, and every day she felt more empowered. She had always dreamed of owning a space where creativity could thrive, But she had never imagined she would find the strength to make it happen, especially not with Liam by her side. Liam had thrown himself into the project with her, helping with the logistics, offering advice on the business side of things, and even bringing in investors to ensure the studio's long-term success. He never once acted like he was doing her a favor. Instead, he acted like it was just as important to him as it was to her, and that made all the difference. They were no longer just two people building something together. They were partners, in every sense of the word. In the evenings, after long days at the studio, they would often find themselves in their favorite spots in the city, grabbing dinner or simply taking a walk through the park. It was during one of these walks that Emma realized just how much she had changed since meeting Liam. She had started this journey feeling unsure of herself, her dreams feeling out of reach, but now she felt confident. She knew who she was and what she wanted, and she wasn't afraid to go after it. Liam, too, had grown in ways he never expected. His life had always been about work, about building his empire, but with Emma, he found a new kind of fulfillment. He realized that love and connection were just as important as success. One evening, as they walked through the park, Emma stopped and turned to Liam. "You know," she said softly, "I've been thinking a lot about our future." Liam looked at her, his heart immediately quickening. "What about it?" he asked, his voice warm. Emma smiled, her hand gently squeezing his. "I think it's time we start thinking about what comes next. Not just for the studio, but for us." Liam raised an eyebrow, curious. "What do you mean?" Emma hesitated for a moment, then took a deep breath. "I want us to have a family, Liam. I want to start building that next chapter together." Liam's heart swelled as he looked at her. He had known for a long time that Emma was the one he wanted to spend his life with, but hearing her say it out loud made everything feel so real. He smiled softly, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "I've been thinking about the same thing," he admitted. "You're everything I've ever wanted, Emma. I want to build that future with you." They stood there for a moment, the world around them feeling still as they shared this new dream together. They had already built so much together, but now they were looking ahead, ready to take on the next chapter. That evening, as they sat down to dinner at their favorite restaurant, Liam reached across the table and took Emma's hand in his. "You know," he said, his voice thoughtful, "we've already accomplished so much, and I think the next step is going to be the best one yet." Emma smiled, her heart full of love. "I think so too." As they sat there, sharing a quiet dinner, they both knew that no matter what challenges they faced in the future, they would face them together. They had already overcome so much, and their bond was unbreakable. The following week, Liam surprised Emma with a weekend getaway to a small cabin in the mountains. It was a quiet, peaceful place, far from the hustle and bustle of the city. They spent their days hiking through the woods, cooking meals together, and talking about their hopes and dreams. It was during one of their quiet nights by the fireplace that Liam turned to Emma, his expression serious. "I've been thinking," he said softly. "I want to start a family with you, but I also want to make sure we're ready for it. I want to be the kind of father who can give our kids everything they need, and I want to do that with you by my side." Emma's eyes filled with emotion as she listened to him. She had always known that Liam was the kind of man who would be a wonderful father, but hearing him express his desire to take that step with her made her heart swell. "I want that too," she said, her voice filled with warmth. "I want us to build that future together. I know we can do it." Liam smiled, his heart full of love for the woman in front of him. He knew that the future they were building together was going to be beautiful, and he couldn't wait to see what it would hold. As the fire crackled in the background, Emma and Liam held each other close, ready to face whatever came next, knowing they had each other to lean on. The future was bright, and together, they could accomplish anything. As the months went on, Emma and Liam's bond continued to grow, stronger than ever. They had settled into a rhythm of life, balancing their work at the art studio, their personal lives, and their shared dreams. Emma was thriving in her role as the owner of the studio, watching it grow into a hub for local artists, something she had once only dreamed of. Liam, too, was happier than he had ever been. Although his career still demanded his attention, he found fulfillment in supporting Emma, encouraging her, and sharing in the successes of the studio. It was a partnership that worked perfectly. Yet, despite their happiness, there was still a question lingering in the back of their minds. As they often talked about their future together, The idea of starting a family remained a dream they both shared but had not yet acted upon. They had both agreed that they wanted a family, but life had been so busy with their careers and Emma's studio that they hadn't taken the next step. One evening, after a long day of work, they sat down together at their kitchen table, a cozy dinner in front of them. Liam noticed that Emma seemed quieter than usual, a faraway look in her eyes. He set down his fork and reached across the table, taking her hand in his. "What's on your mind, love?" he asked softly, his voice gentle. Emma hesitated for a moment before answering. "I've been thinking about the future," she began, her voice quiet but steady. "I love everything we've built together. The studio, our life. But I can't help but feel like it's time for us to take the next step. I want to start our family, Liam. I want us to build that future together." Liam's heart skipped a beat. He had always known that Emma would be the perfect mother, but hearing her speak about it so openly made him realize just how ready they both were. He had wanted the same thing, but he had been waiting for the right moment, unsure if they were both ready to jump into this next chapter of their lives. "I've been thinking the same thing," Liam replied, his voice filled with sincerity. "I've always known I wanted a family with you. I think we've built something strong, and I feel ready. I want to be the father who's there for our kids, just like I've been here for you." Emma's eyes softened as she squeezed his hand, a smile playing at the corners of her lips. "I can't wait to see you as a dad, Liam. I know you'll be amazing. We've both come so far, and I feel like we're finally in a place where we can truly give our kids the love and support they deserve." The moment felt profound, as if the weight of their decision had been lifted, and they were now standing on the edge of something beautiful. After years of building their lives separately, they had finally come together in a way that felt complete, knowing they would continue to build it together. The next few months were filled with new excitement. They started preparing for the future in ways they hadn't before. They looked at houses, talked about where they wanted to raise their children, and dreamed about what their family would look like. Emma took the time to continue expanding her studio, but now with a renewed sense of purpose, knowing that the studio would not only be a place for artists but a place where their children would grow up surrounded by creativity and love. Liam, too, began to focus more on the things that truly mattered. He was still dedicated to his company, but he now knew that family would always come first. Their shared dreams had become a reality, and now they were ready for the next step. One evening, after a peaceful walk through the city, Liam stopped Emma under the soft glow of the streetlights. He turned to her, his heart full of emotion. "Emma," he began, his voice full of tenderness, "I want to spend the rest of my life with you. You're everything I've ever dreamed of, and I can't imagine a future without you. Will you marry me?" Emma's heart raced as she looked at Liam, her eyes filling with tears. She had never felt so sure about anything in her life. "Yes," she whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. "Yes, I will marry you." As Liam slipped the ring onto her finger, they both knew that this was just the beginning. They had already built so much together, but now they were ready to take on the future, hand in hand, as partners in every sense of the word. The months passed, and with each passing day, their love grew deeper, their connection stronger. Emma and Liam's story had begun with an unexpected mix-up, but it had evolved into a beautiful love story, one that was built on trust, respect, and a shared vision for the future. They knew that no matter what challenges they faced, they would face them together. And as they looked toward their future, they knew one thing for sure. Together, they could conquer anything. Months had passed since Emma and Liam's engagement, and their lives had become even more intertwined. They had built the future they had once only dreamed of, a future filled with love, art, and the promise of family. The art studio was flourishing, and Emma's vision had grown into something far greater than she had ever imagined. Liam had supported her every step of the way, helping with the business side of things while encouraging her creative side. Together, they had made the studio a success, not just in terms of business, but also as a community hub for local artists. But there was still something missing, the family they had always wanted. They had talked about it often, dreaming of the day they would become parents, but for now, they were content with building their life together. One warm summer evening, Liam and Emma sat on the porch of their home, watching the sun set behind the trees. The gentle breeze rustled the leaves, and the world around them felt peaceful, perfect even. It had been a busy year, but in this moment, it felt like everything had fallen into place. Liam turned to Emma, his eyes soft and filled with love. "You know, Emma, I've been thinking," he began, his voice calm and thoughtful. Emma looked at him, her heart swelling with affection. "What about?" she asked, resting her head on his shoulder. "I think it's time," Liam said softly, taking her hand in his. "It's time to start our family. We've built so much together, and I know we're ready for this next step." Emma felt her heart race at his words. She had always known that this was the moment they were waiting for. They had built a life together based on love, trust, and mutual respect, and now it was time to take the next step. "I couldn't agree more," Emma whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "I'm ready, Liam. I want to start a family with you." Liam smiled, his heart overflowing with joy. "Then let's do it," he said, his voice full of warmth. "We're ready." The following months were filled with excitement and anticipation as they prepared for the next chapter of their lives. They bought a bigger house, one with a large backyard where their children could play. They decorated the nursery, choosing soft, calming colors and filling the room with love and warmth. Every day felt like a step closer to the future they had always dreamed of. Finally, the day came when Emma found out she was pregnant. It was a moment of pure joy and disbelief. They were going to be parents. The news was a dream come true, and as Liam held Emma in his arms, both of them laughing and crying at the same time, they knew that their journey was only just beginning. The pregnancy was smooth, and Emma glowed with happiness. Liam was there for every ultrasound, every doctor's appointment, every little milestone. He was the perfect partner, attentive, loving, and supportive. Emma couldn't help but feel so grateful for the man she had chosen to share her life with. As the due date approached, Emma and Liam prepared for the big day. They had a birthing plan in place, and they had both read books on parenting, preparing themselves for what was to come. But nothing could truly prepare them for the overwhelming love they would feel when they held their baby for the first time. The day their daughter was born was the happiest day of their lives. As Liam held their newborn in his arms, tears filled his eyes. "She's perfect, Emma," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. Emma smiled, her heart full as she looked at their daughter. "She's our miracle," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Over the next few years, Emma and Liam's love for each other and their daughter grew even stronger. They balanced their careers with parenthood, always making time for each other and for their family. Emma continued to run the studio, but now she had a partner in raising their child, someone who shared in the joys and challenges of parenting. Liam, too, had found a new sense of purpose in being a father. He was no longer just the CEO of Parker Enterprises. He was a father, a husband, and a man who had found his true calling in life. Together, they created a home filled with love, laughter, and warmth. And as their daughter grew, they knew they had built something lasting and beautiful, something that would last a lifetime. Looking back on everything they had been through, Emma and Liam knew that their love story wasn't just about the art studio or the mansion or the success they had achieved. It was about the love they shared, the family they had built, and the life they had created together. They had started from a simple mistake, sitting at the wrong table in a restaurant. And from that moment, their lives had been changed forever. They had found love, happiness, and each other. And now, as they looked at their daughter, they knew that the best was yet to come. Together, they had everything they had ever wanted, and with each other, they were unstoppable.